and you went through everything much as we always expect you to do so as Africans. Thank you for coming to view us once again. And in today's program, I've got two very interesting people who are, as you're aware, Robert Mugabe died early this week, and a lot has been happening in Zimbabwe. He was ousted from power, obviously, as you're aware. And so many things happened in Zimbabwe during his time when he was, of course, in office. The history of Zimbabwe, I can't go into details now, but maybe these two gentlemen will be in position to give us something in terms of guidelines on who Robert Mugabe was, what's happening in Zimbabwe now, and so we get an insight onto that. My guest today, Mr. Arthur Malifo. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Mr. Ephraim Tapa. Yeah. Thank you for coming as well.
Thank you.
The history of Robert Mugabe. He's been a controversial character. He's been when he started, it was so well. The rest of Africa embraced Zimbabwe because of him. He was a freedom fighter. He was, you know, you name it. He couldn't go wrong at the very beginning. Everything went well, and Zimbabwe was the breadbasket of Africa. Everything could grow in Zimbabwe. There were over 10,000 farms, you know, and we as Africans from other parts of the continent supported Zimbabwe just as we supported South Africa. But somewhere in the middle, things started going wrong. I need an insight on what really happened, what went wrong from the breadbasket of Africa.
I would say myself.
Yeah.
I'm not going to speak on that because at the time I wasn't in the country.
Okay.
But my colleague here was in the country.
Okay.
He grew up in the country.
Okay.
Whether he was a born free or a born old, I don't know.
No. In actual fact, we did. Some of us did participate in the liberation struggle.
Okay.
And what I know about Robert Mugabe is that he was an astute leader, liberator.
Yeah, of course.
And
freedom fighter.
Yes. He was resolute.
Okay.
But at the same time, he was also a totalitarian.
Really?
Yes. It's either you have it or you don't have it.
You don't have it, yeah.
It's all or nothing.
Okay.
Nothing in between.
Okay.
That reminds me of the one-party state mantra.
Oh, right, yeah.
In the early days of the 80s.
Okay.
Yes, Pamberi in a one-party state.
Yeah.
So he would say.
Yeah.
And he was a guy, because of this idea about absolute power, he would not fathom or take anything to do with rejection.
Okay.
He would not even know how to handle rejection.
You're right, yeah.
So then we begin to see what happened in Matabeleland.
You're right, yeah.
And the Midlands areas. In the early days, early 80s, when people voted for another party.
Okay.
When it was actually meant, when they were actually meant to be supporting him to achieve his life dream, which is a one-party state.
Ah, that's what he wanted.
That's what he wanted.
From the beginning, yeah.
Right from the beginning, it was one-party state, total power, absolute power. And therefore, whoever dared to challenge him or to think otherwise, they would have to face the consequences.
Okay.
And therefore, we see the Gugurahundi campaigns, which killed 20,000 people, another 20,000 disappeared, and all those kind of things.
It started happening, yeah. Now, the question has always been, he kept the white people because of the Western governments, of course, the Americans and the British and Australian and so on. He kept them because at one point I got information that I read somewhere, he was saying, look, I'm going to do like what Idi Amin did and kick out all the white people. But somewhere, somehow, Lancaster Agreement is
Yes.
one of the things
Yeah.
that comes into mind. He spoke very well about that, and he reached an agreement with that. The farms were given out to Africans, and the whites maintained theirs.
On a willing seller, willing buyer.
Yeah.
basis.
So things were not going bad at all. But then he built schools. He's a highly educated man.
Yeah.
He wanted education, and he did all that. But somewhere, somehow, in the mid after 20 years or something like that, things started falling apart. Something went wrong somewhere there, because regardless of the one-party states and so on, something within, did he get the wrong people in?
Right. When it comes to that one, there are a number of factors that come into play.
Okay.
Things went well in the 80s.
Yeah.
Throughout the 80s.
The early 80s.
Everything, there was massive economic programs and economic growth, 11%, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But as we go into 1992, his wife passes away.
All right. Grace.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Sally Mugabe.
Yeah, Sally Mugabe, sorry, not Grace. Yeah.
This Sally Mugabe was actually the chief advisor, a friend, a comrade, a genuine for that matter. So they had been from far together.
Okay.
Now he loses her. And in enters Grace Marufu. Okay, so that's one aspect there.
Yeah.
And then we are also talking about, as we go along, we are seeing a lot of droughts, successive drought periods in the 90s. Right, and then we see the reintroduction, and in the 90s, we are seeing the introduction of ISAP, Economic Structural Adjustment Program, which was World Bank and IMF inspired. So that meant that people, ordinary citizens, had to tie their belts. But in the process of us tying our belts, we are actually seeing the chefs, the big fish, actually loosening.
They're becoming bigger.
They are becoming bigger and bigger. So that's one other element, ISAP. And then as we go further, 1996 or so, we see Joshua Nkomo dies. He was the vice president and a calming voice within the Mugabe administration.
That used to keep him
you would keep him under check.
Yes.
And so Sally Mugabe is gone. We've got Dr. Joshua Nkomo is gone. And then we've got ISAP playing havoc. Droughts playing havoc. And there is massive unrest in the early 90s. I mean, in the late 90s now. Giving rise to the formation of the movement for democratic change. I was part of Shangirai, yes. I was part of the unions then, being president of the Civil Service Employees Union, and part of the General Council of the Zimbabwe Congress of Trade Unions. So we said this is now a governance issue. The massive unrest that we have in the country, not simply a trade union matter. This is now a governance issue. We need to come up with an alternative political program. So
he wasn't willing to budge.
No,
he wasn't budging.
So 99, we formed the party, the MDC.
MDC.
Yes. And so it challenged him. And once he felt challenged, we went for 2000, February 2000, election, there was referendum. In February 2000. 5 February, Mugabe tested his first defeat. He had never been defeated in an election. So this new kid on the block, coordinating with the NCA and all other civil society organizations, working together, we defeated ZANU-PF. And so he said,
we have to do something about it.
Remember, I told you when he was rejected by Midlands and Matabeleland in the early 80s.
What happened there?
He unleashed the Gugura Hundi. So now we've got a situation where he has been defeated. At the polls of which he controls and runs.
Exactly.
So he said, no, there has to be a scapegoat.
Yeah.
Why are these guys making this kind of successes? How did they achieve this?
Yeah. Yeah.
So he had to identify the white man.
Yeah. Yeah.
He then says, it's the white man who is sponsoring these people.
Yeah. Yeah. They have to fund the fund. They have to be
now
a fund
these
coming from somewhere,
people, because they are sponsoring opposition, they are actually sponsoring my removal.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I have to deal with them.
Yeah.
How do you deal with them? I was a civil servant myself in government, yeah? And you look at the land question, maybe it's going to come somewhere. Maybe it's going to rise somewhere. So, all along, the whites had been on the land at Mugabe's pleasure.
Of course, of course.
And with his agreement.
With the British, and
that kind of. The British, the Lancaster House had already expired.
Yeah,
the concessions had expired.
Everything had gone,
in 1990.
Yeah, yeah.
So after 1990, Mugabe was free to do as he wished.
As he wants, yeah.
But because the white men would still say, look here, let's come, let's sit, let's talk.
Yeah. Yeah.
So a lot of money exchanged.
Of course, yeah. I was going to mention that money came into it.
Money came into it. And so Mugabe also wanted these people on his side.
Of course, yeah.
But because they were on Tsvangirai's side, he said, okay, I will deal with you.
Yeah.
And the rest is history.
Of course,
the reason why he had to take the land was to punish the white men for sponsoring the MDC.
Yeah.
Not that he had a land reform genuine agenda. No.
There was no agenda talking.
No. He was actually benefiting from the situation, from having these white on the land, because every election year, he would threaten them with eviction. And then he gets
what he wants.
He gets his hands greased.
Now, I spoke to people, several people, and I did a program on radio that has to do with the land. And I remember with Esther Kisa Mubanda. We did a program that was to do with the and we were trying to find out some of the people who had taken the land, and are those who are not happy with the land, or those who have taken the land and extremely happy. Because we made several phone calls. Some people had been given land, but all there were complaints that those in the army or the bigger position had taken massive miles of land. But some other people were happy that they received land. Would that count as something good in his legacy, that at least he gave land to the poor?
He gave land to the poor?
He didn't. No, we're outside Zimbabwe.
Outside, that's what I'm saying.
The thing about land.
All the land just went to selected individuals.
Mugabe himself is said to have, between him and his wife, they are said to have 15 farms.
Wow.
They are said to own almost all farms in Mazowe, a district.
An entire district?
An entire district.
Oh, gosh.
Now, you then talk about soldiers, you then talk about
the army commanders,
civil servants, you then talk about top ZANU-PF guys. They all have farms, big farms, which are now lying fallow.
Yeah, of course, because of what happened.
They are not productive.
They're not productive.
Now, when you ask a question, how did Mugabe destroy the once thriving economy? Zimbabwe is an agro-based economy.
Exactly,
So if you destroy agriculture, you have destroyed the economy.
Half of the Africa's tobacco was coming from Zimbabwe.
From Zimbabwe,
coming from Zimbabwe. Quality tobacco, quality.
In the 70s, there were crops that Zimbabwe was ranking high in the whole world.
Cassava and maize. Maize,
groundnuts, soya gum, things like that. Tobacco, it was the first in the world.
But he says the West blocked most of that. When the West blocked him, you're here in UK. Demonstrations were here, and there was a lot happening at the time, and even somebody was trying to arrest him I think in France. Someone was trying to say a citizen's arrest.
Yeah,
but basically, the failures
5,000 miles from the country
according to him all along, has been, even when he was banned from traveling to the West.
Robert Mugabe was already.
It is the West who had really affected the economy of Zimbabwe. How true is this? Because
he had no way to escape what he had failed to achieve.
Okay.
That's the problem. He couldn't find a way of getting out of it
without
blaming someone else.
Yeah.
That's where the whites come in.
Okay.
Not the whites as such, but that's where the West comes in.
All right.
Because the West, by the mere fact that their program of willing seller, willing buy, he found, I think that was the Labour government that was in. When
Tony Blair shot.
Claire shot, said, no, we can't, human rights and so on and so forth. Then that's where the problem started.
Okay.
The issue of human rights, you see.
So the issue of human rights came in, but the issue of the farms being taken from white farmers as well. Because under the Lancaster Agreement, if I got it wrong, correct me, farms were given out to blacks and to whites. You know, under the system of white buy and sell.
Given out
like
or
what? Because an estimated 5,000 farms were given out.
What happened was this. The Lancaster House Agreement provided for land to exchange hands under a willing seller, willing buyer basis. But there were farms that were derelict, that had been abandoned, that were empty. Some white people had run away during the war
and abandoned the farms.
They abandoned everything. So the government's job would be then to identify all those farms
and then distribute them.
And then distribute them under the A2, A1 programs. You know, many common people benefited from that.
From that scheme,
Yes, from that scheme. Then as we go to 1990, the concessions that were protected by the Lancaster House Agreement
expired.
Right. Now, it means that if a farm, if someone feels that he needs to sell on his farm to somebody else, they have to go to government first and say, I need to sell my farm. Do you have an interest in it?
In buying it,
So if the government says, I have no interest, then you are free to sell. So it was, government would express an interest or no interest. So in this case, it meant that a lot of farms were bought even by white people. So a white man would sell to another white man, provided they went through the process.
Of course.
Government expresses no interest, so sell it on. So where was this land reform agenda when they were not buying the farms? When offered by those who wanted to sell their farms, why did the government not just jump onto it and take the farms for the ordinary people? They did not do that.
They didn't do that.
Why? It's because Mugabe, in all his years from beginning, he created what we call a vast system of patronage. So whoever agreed, because it's all about power, remember, like I said.
Consolidation of power has to be.
Consolidation of power. No wonder why you see, even when you look at the budget, successive budgets in Zimbabwe, they would be looking more at security and military. They would get the bigger chunk.
Of the money,
Ahead of education, ahead of health, ahead of agriculture.
Right.
So Mugabe's idea about land was to hold certain people under control, so that they are easily manipulated.
Yeah, of course. And they would fear.
Exactly.
They fear that you might lose it.
So if there is an election, all the farmers will be gathered, and they are told, okay, you have to sponsor us. We've got an election now. So they put in bulls, cows, and monies and all that kind of to fund Mugabe's election. So election after election, these people would be sponsoring. But when they switched allegiance in 1999,
that's where the problem started.
That's when the problem started. Therefore, you begin to see in 2000, they invaded the farms.
Oh, right, yeah.
This is now government behind it. Initially, it started like the villagers were invading the farms. But maybe also because of impatience, because the government was not delivering on their promises.
And they could have been pushed by the government anyway.
Exactly. So when they went into onto the farms, those people of the social plan in Wedza, government then, on second thought, quickly said, okay, we can hijack this program. So they sent in soldiers with the logistics.
Because it's in their interest anyway. It is in the government interest.
Because they had nothing else left for them.
They've seen that they are doing something for the people. Yet they are not doing something for the people.
So that's when this whole land thing started. And the idea was to look for a scapegoat. And even when, in everything, when ZANU-PF was, people of Matabeleland and Midlands did not vote for ZANU-PF. You look for a scapegoat. What is the problem? So they created armed sketches in Matabeleland and Midlands.
So
they said, these are dissidents.
To send soldiers there.
These are dissidents. So they justify they sent in the 50th Brigade.
To go and deal with,
Now, when they were beaten, in 2000 referendum, they say, it's the white men. So there's a regime change agenda. Okay, so we have to act. And what do? They send people to kill.
Oh, gosh.
2005, when people in urban centers voted against the ZANU-PF, they said, okay, we'll do Operation Drive Out Field. Operation Murambachi, where they destroyed livelihoods, houses, and all that kind of stuff.
They had to find a scapegoat.
They had to find a scapegoat.
Mongan Sagarai was due to come here, and I remember we were going to have a press conference at some point at the Africa Center, the next thing I knew, he was being prevented from traveling here. He didn't come. And it was a bit of a disappointment. We wanted to hear a lot what he had to say at the time. But then, as you're saying, he actually accused Mongan Sagarai of coping with the West, of actually receiving money from the West. Now, you were part of that Mongan Sagarai's team.
outside.
Outside. Is there anything that clearly shows, it was simply a made-up thing that Robert Mugabe came up with? Because there was that money had exchanged hands with him, and regardless of the fact that
you see the emergence of
that he had prevented him from traveling.
The emergence of MTC meant one thing, as far as I can see, that Mugabe is losing the bread. When it comes to that, when the push comes to shove, the man reacts. You see? So that's because he had the powers, he had everything for himself and his party. He wouldn't listen to, as my colleague here said, he wouldn't listen to any anti-voice or different voice at all. So he thought himself, he had since 1980, he had this power given to him. He had everything for him. He could declare whatever he wanted to declare, and they see it happening because they were helping him. Remember the knighthood? That was a greater significance of the contribution by the British government to knight him. And when it was taken away, what does that mean? How did it come about? You see, there are those things.
But ironically, the Ghanaians, one Ghanaian minister once said that he's one person who actually listens and understands quite a lot, because he was a highly educated man. Before he became president of Zimbabwe, he could organize anything. He was the kind of person, I mean, with all the degrees, you can name them, public administration, the honorable degrees that have been given to him from South Africa, from America, and around the world. One of the most gifted, most brilliant men, I should say, in African history, as about, you know, one of the most brilliant presidents in Africa. So the thing is that when he entered power, the structure of what changed after when he was in power. Before he was in power, everybody would say, wow, this is the next Nkrumah. He's a brilliant man, he's this and that. But it's like when he entered power, the kind of advice people he had with him, people, and also the death of this Zimbabwean, no, not Zimbabwean, Mozambican president.
Samora Machel.
Samora Machel was under close flame. So with these people gone, then he's begun to change, you know, from maybe socialism, the Swedish socialism he was seeing, the Russian kind of communism. He was seeing, he needed a guidance of where to move. And then, of course, Sarah died, the wife. Things started changing. People are attributing that to maybe the kind of man he became after, from the man he was.
Personally, I would say that Mugabe didn't have the roots.
He didn't have the roots.
Whatever he was doing, all was about,
because remember,
popularity and this and that.
He was almost going to train as a priest, as a child. When he grew up, he was going to become a Catholic priest. From the story I hear.
How did he fail?
It became a different. The story changed when a lot of things happened. So there is something which needs to be exploited there. I think historians who are writing biographies will find out, because when the changes came through, things changed. Anyway, he's gone. Now we're looking at, where does Zimbabwe go now? Zimbabwe after Mugabe, because there was going to be a Zimbabwe before and a Zimbabwe after. Now we're looking at after Mugabe. This is the man called the crocodile.
There was Zimbabwe before,
and
in a short period there was Zimbabwe then, then Zimbabwe now.
Oh, Zimbabwe now. Is the crocodile as his nickname? Is he because they were saying he's also living in these shadows anyway. He was in his shadows. He was his right hand man.
He was the
enforcer. He enforced the law. So he was his right hand man to a certain extent. But now
he's now in charge.
He's now in charge.
Yeah.
Do you guys see any differences that is going to happen, or you're seeing a continuation?
There is a big problem here.
Yeah,
we've got a big problem, because whilst Mugabe was in charge, this enforcer, who is Emerson Mnangagwa, would be handled by Mugabe.
Yeah.
It means that he was the guy to say, okay, it's enough.
Mugabe was the one to say it's enough.
He would be the one to say, okay, that's enough.
Came up with the idea.
You see, he is carrying out
the order,
missions as prescribed by the principal. Right. So you would say, okay, that's fine. Oh, no, don't go beyond that. Stuff like that.
I know.
Now, who is going to be doing that now? Now that he is the ultimate authority.
Okay. I see. I get the point. Do you see another Idi Amin coming up? Because that keep worrying, it might not really happen like that.
He will not.
No, he won't.
No, he won't.
He won't that lead to that level.
I mean, it's no.
No, he won't go there.
Yeah, no. Zimbabweans wouldn't allow him to do that.
The thing is, this man, he has got dirty hands.
Yeah.
When you look at the Gukurahundi in Matabeleland and Midlands,
he would say he was carrying out orders. Carrying out orders.
Yes.
That's what Idi Amin said as well.
That is fine.
Because everybody was attacking him about the coup. And he says, I carried out orders.
But the people know.
Yeah.
The people know the truth.
Yeah.
So the thing is, He is known and associated with the Gukurahundi because he was the Minister of State Security at that time.
Okay. So he knew.
So he is aware of that. He's fully aware. What he wants is a situation where he can cleanse himself. He can atone himself. How does he want to atone himself? He's looking at creating his own legacy.
Of course,
where he's trying by all means to say, okay, Mugabe did this wrong, that wrong, that wrong, that wrong. So I'm going to do things differently, and that way, and maybe resuscitate with luck, resuscitate the economy, give people something to smile about, and then they will remember him in a lighter, way. Is that going to be achievable? I'm not sure about that. But will that help from, preventing him to get to the Idi Amin excesses?
Level,
Yes, it will help because he's trying to cleanse his name. He's trying to create a legacy for himself. He's trying to come out of the shadow. But is that going to be possible? That's another question.
No. You see, the problem, I would say, the problem with President Mnangagwa is this. He is not the army chief like Idi Amin was.
He was, okay.
I mean it. Complete
control.
Power,
he had the power. He had the power.
He had to say, do this. Like his son, when he was creating his son. He said,
that small boy.
The small boy.
People come there and spend 6 minutes. So look at the organization that was there. Mnangagwa can't do that.
Oh, right.
Because there are other people in the army, in the government itself, and he has got
Chiwenga, yes.
on the side.
There's Chiwenga,
who say,
don't do that.
The man who masterminded the coup.
Exactly.
Okay.
So there is this, he can't reach that.
No,
if he wants to reach that, he will have to go past these steps for him to gain that.
Okay.
So for that, no.
It's no longer possible.
He came up with this stylish thing to say that Zimbabwe is open for business. Yeah, that is failing as well.
When you talk about Zimbabwe is open for business, you need international goodwill.
Exactly.
Okay.
You need domestic trust. The people in your own country have to be able to trust you.
Of course. Now, okay, go ahead.
If you don't have trust, you don't have international goodwill, there is no way this investor is going to be attracted to come into your country. There is no way you can attract foreign direct investment. And that's what is failing him as we speak.
Zimbabweans, there are so many Zimbabweans overseas, with Zimbabweans in exile, those who left during the time of Zimbabwe, and most of them are highly educated in South Africa, here in the UK, almost everywhere in the world. There's Zimbabweans. Now, a huge program was set up by him at the beginning. To try and encourage Zimbabweans to invest home and even go back home if possible. And Israel told me about that. At one time, I visited a Zimbabwe kind of trade fair here in the UK, and I could see what Zimbabweans in various areas are doing. Now, that is an ongoing thing. Even now, Mugabe is gone. How far is that one going? Will it be of any help?
No, I don't know about that. But where I think President Mnangagwa lost the plot is in Davos. You see, the world needs trust. When they ask you about something, you come out honestly and find a way of dealing with it or be helped to deal with it. Yes, this genocidal thing in Matibele, and it happened. He had to come out and admit it, that yes, it has happened. But he denied. He even says, what the world is saying is not true, because there was not even 5 million people. It's him who is saying that.
Yeah, but he's looking at it as something that's a career suicide.
Yeah, but it affects.
It's a suicide if he admits that something like that happened. It's a career
What
suicide. Yeah, I mean,
people are prepared to forgive him.
Oh, really?
If he tells the truth.
Yeah.
But he's not telling the truth.
Mugabe himself admitted and said it was a moment of madness.
All right.
Yes.
All
that's what his way of.
That was his way. Now, if Mugabe said that, why don't you then say, I was not the commander, but I was part of it. I'm sorry for all what happened.
And they have remorse. That's the most important thing.
Because as we speak right now, there are some people, children who were born as a result of rape, out of the Gukura womb, who does not have birth certificates.
They don't.
Because they don't know who the father is. So this problem is still prevailing. It has got far-reaching repercussions, and it needs to be addressed. So by skating around the problem, he's not doing himself any good.
Now, elections in Zimbabwe, and it's a new party. New parties are emerging. Even the old, not ZANU, ZANU is the leading party, ZAMPO, which has just come up. I need some highlighting. How is that one operating? Because ever since the death of Shangarai died, isn't it?
Shangarai died, yes.
Now, ever since his death, no strong man has come up in Zimbabwe to lead an opposition which is credible for leading Zimbabwe. Now, do you see anyone emerging in Zimbabwe?
I'll tell you something about ZAPU. ZAPU, there has never been a revived party that just succeeds like that.
Really?
No.
Okay.
Unless if it was an army-related thing.
Yeah, right.
But there is never, I haven't seen one party that just comes up being revived and it does well, particularly in Africa. Because people in Africa have a belief that you don't abandon the struggle fighters and so on, whatever, all this what is concerned. People, Mugabe goes there and just has to mention a word that we fought, we got the country. You come and try and disrupt that, and particularly when you have to come up as a revived party. I'm not making an excuse, but it's an important factor for people to consider. Until Zimbabwe reverts to policy understanding in terms of the country or elections, what you are voting for, not just a political party. Because if that political party has got no conducive policies, you're achieving nothing for people.
Okay, the biggest problem in Africa, I've seen this everywhere, an individual comes up. We believe in individualism. An individual comes up. We had Obote in Uganda, we have Museveni now, we have leaders come up. We had Nkrumah in Ghana, and so on. And these strong leaders,
Bobby Wine.
Bobby Wine, you're right. So a leader comes up. Now, he gets a massive following, and everybody goes behind him. But in doing so, the parties themselves are not stronger. Now, Mugabe was a strong man, but the party was not strong. In fact, you would
the machinery. Don't forget the machinery.
That's what I'm saying. Shangarai went. Now, nobody, Arthur, you could jump in. You could also, that's what I'm saying. We don't have that kind of structure which raises leaders to take leadership role. Is non-existing in the whole continent.
That is very correct. When you look at churches, church in Africa, the so-called papa or pastor or prophet, apostle, they are rich.
Of course.
They are richer than the church that they lead.
And where does the money come from?
I know.
Where does it come from?
Now, when you come over here and look at these established churches, Anglican, Roman Catholic, and all that. You don't see millionaires in those churches.
No, you don't. You don't.
It's the churches that are that are worth millions.
Yeah, because they are. Yeah, the money.
So
the money belongs to the
investment
churches.
in these institutions.
Yeah.
But what we do in Africa is what we call cult politics.
Yeah.
We believe in men than systems.
Yeah.
As a result, we sacrifice the rule of law as long as he has said it.
Yeah.
What he says is the law, and it goes.
What he promises.
What he promises. So as a result, we allow ourselves to be manipulated by those individuals.
How do we get away from that?
That's give them more power, no checks and balances, poor institutions to ensure checks and balances. They are all poor, they are all captured instead.
I can have an answer to that.
Yes.
The structure is, everything depends on the leader.
Exactly.
Now, the leader makes sure that if this water is to be here, it should be there. He makes sure that there's nobody else can move it. So everything passes through him. And that is where the problem is. So we can't, when a man dies, like Tito in Yugoslavia, they kept telling him long time ago, before the wars that split up Yugoslavia. He was a very strong man, but he didn't listen to Western Europe when he was being taught. As soon as he dies, Western Yugoslavia collapses. You know, so it's a structure which is followed throughout Africa. My question is now, how do we make sure that the institutions are powerful, are stronger? Because it comes from us. We need to make sure that the next leaders of Africa have to make institutions stronger. How do we do that? Mugabe didn't do that.
We were just discussing, isn't it? We were just discussing it. We were saying, look, I mean, my brother here was saying, no, we need a new way of thinking, of doing our politics in Africa. If we are going to get ourselves out of this hole that we've been in, which we're in. I mean, democracy in Africa is corrupted.
Yeah, of course.
Money corrupts democracy in Africa.
Destroys it.
It actually destroys it. So the product of corruption is corrupted.
Yeah, exactly.
You cannot then begin to think that we'll get something good out of a product of corruption. So what we need them to do is to begin to revisit the system of democracy. Is it about the individual or is it about the issues? If I am to go to my village today and say, look, this is me and I've got money. I can give you, seeds. This is now the rain season approaching. I will give you seed and fertilizer, and blah, blah, blah. And everyone is happy. It's like as if African governments have got a program to impoverish their own people for ease of manipulation.
They're easier to govern.
Yes, they are so easy when they are impoverished. Because people in Zimbabwe used to have good life, isn't it? We used to have good life. We used to enjoy. Everyone had stuff. But let our politics be not about individuals, but about what you can bring or what you can do.
We're trying to reach that level.
Exactly.
It's a question of how do we go about it. Now, you've covered human rights. Human rights, and you've been doing that quite a lot. And the question is, how successful are you? Because there are campaigns that you've done are massively. I've been reading about them, and it's quite interesting, and I have to congratulate you for the work that you've done and you've put in. The thing is that how does us transform to go into individuals now? Because the question of human rights is mentioned so much everywhere in the world, but the fact remains it becomes difficult to be carried out, especially by governments. It's easier if it's highlighted by the media. The media talks about it, and some people are put in prison. Tomorrow they are out because of outcry of governments making noises for them to get out, and they get out. But specifically, how is it going to train? How do we train people the way you've been carried out this? How do we train people that the issue of human rights is just like the issue of the planet? If we don't do something about the planet, something's going to go wrong.
Yeah, because at the organization, we believe that where people are accorded their rights, their quality of life
improves.
We talk of right to education, right to work, right to life, right to all.
To everything,
You know what I mean? So it means that human rights answers into the needs of human beings.
Of course.
Right. So how do we get to that? We need a selfless people, a people who are not like career civil society activists, whereby they depend on donor money, and whereby
the donor money influences your choices.
Exactly. So what we have done ourselves is that we have sustained ourselves. As the restoration of human rights, as the Zimbabwe vigil, what we have done is our money comes from these members.
All right.
And therefore, we have got an office in Zimbabwe that then goes out to carry out certain programs, our own programs, not as prescribed by a donor. And so you will find that when other civil society organizations that are donor funded go dry, we still carry on because we are our own bosses.
The question is, at some point, your money might dry out as well.
Yes. Yes.
And then you face a situation where you need money.
Yes.
Because that is where, unless you've got a plant somewhere where you know that there will always be money coming in, it won't dry. Then the chances that it's going to be very easy someone to influence you when it comes with a large check.
What we wanted to do was that we don't have a human rights institution or institute in Zimbabwe. We've got a program
to put one there. Yeah, all right.
We also want to try
that is if the government allows it.
I mean, when they are in need of friends, especially now when they are so compromised and they really want things going for them, I know, of course, this is the right time to talk to them. So it may be like, okay, we go there, guys, we want to put up a human rights institution. We also want a curriculum in schools that will talk about human rights and being responsible citizens.
Yeah, of course. That's one way of uplifting.
So if that then becomes embedded into primary education, into secondary education curriculum, we feel that our people begin to be empowered. And then in such a way as to be able to challenge any injustices that are visited upon them by their government or those in power. So there is a lot of education that needs to be undertaken before we can get anywhere.
You've mentioned education. Arthur, the issue of education, we talked about this at one point before coming to the show, educating people on the election side, because one of the biggest problems, Liberia, for example, became so successful under Johnson, the lady who was leading, because her strategy was so good. Even though she's no longer president of Liberia, she had educated people on what the election means. So if you go to Liberia today, you'll be surprised that somebody who has never been to school will explain to you that, no, I won't take money from anybody because he's coming during the elections. And they did this before even the elections take place. They started educating people about the elections 2-3 years before the elections even take place. So the people are aware. And Arthur here has a very good program. I don't know whether it will work in Zimbabwe.
No, I think particularly I'm talking to the opposition population in Zimbabwe. The opposition population has no access to ZANU monies, ZANU monies that are distributed around the country and so on. And they are actually powerful in their localities. if they concentrated on wards and they concentrated on constituencies, because that's where they make their checks and balances about what a corrupt government does. And they prevent that happening. And they get this particular education program you mentioned. That will actually cement, not correct, but cement what needs to be done to turn things around. Because ZANU is used into corrupt methods.
Of course.
They go and distribute some cassava, rice and meat and so on, cows and so on, and promise you that they will. We are having a system, the future system, which is being brought in there. People don't understand it. If there is no alternative, they receive the cows, of course, even if they are given 1 cow, 2, 3 cows, they know that next year, in 2 years' time, there will be 10.
Of course.
You see? So they see that as actually progress. But that's not progress.
No, it isn't. It isn't.
We can't go back to the future system. Let's get people, like what he's saying. I was going to say to my colleague here, what you are doing is good. But get your organization to introduce the project systems that are needed locally.
Right. That is a very good point. So what we are doing now, in as far as what you have just said, we've got a project, we've just started a new program in Mutoko. So this project involves us helping the widows who are living with HIV and AIDS. They've got children to send to school. They also need to look after themselves nutritionally. So what we have done is to talk to the traditional leadership on the ground. They've given us land. We have signed a 30-year lease agreement. We are in control of that land now. And we are talking about irrigation and them being able to provide for themselves, because we do not envisage a situation where we actually go and hand out money or stuff like that.
It doesn't.
So if that program works in Mutoko, then we are looking at rolling out nationally. We roll out that program. And at the last meeting that we had with the local communities, the chiefs were there, the councillors were there, and the nurses who provide medications to these people were there. The agri-tech officials who do with farming were there. Then we also we had the occasion to open the Constitution of Zimbabwe.
The Constitution,
Constitution of Zimbabwe, to say, right, when we are looking at our rights, what does the Constitution say? Now, who can stop us at such a forum?
No, nobody.
We are talking about helping these widows, poor widows, to help themselves. But we are also educating them on human rights.
Of course, so that they get
on their rights. So that way, if anyone had any idea about stopping us, it was too late. We were already in the cell.
Into the cell.
Exactly.
I agree.
So those are some of the approaches that we are doing. We need a lot of support,
of course,
and it's working.
The budgets, because most of the things, one of the biggest problems you always forget is as soon as you begin such an organization, you need to have, first of all, in your mind where the money is going to come from, and secondly, that money has to be constant, not a one-off kind of, not a one-off kind of project that, because the problem is when you look into South Africa now, South Africa is not poor.
No.
All the problems we are having now is because the leaders of the ANC didn't go deep into the villages. The kind of things that you've been discussing, they didn't go into the villages to educate the people, to tell the people what's going on and what's, So as far as they are concerned, they haven't created jobs. They haven't gone to the wards that you have mentioned. They haven't done that. And that is why the problems are existing. They are looking at foreigners who are easy targets for other Africans. Like what you've started, the human rights issue, just starts and it's so good. But as it goes ahead, when the funds disappear or the money starts becoming dwindling slowly, some of the projects that you felt you're going to be doing are no longer in existence, then you have a problem. That's why I'm saying that
we will have a problem.
They should no. The thing is, there shouldn't be any funds disappearing.
Yes.
Okay. Because by creating the local
it's kind of a cooperative,
also
isn't it?
Developing the markets for what they produce.
Yes. So the program, we look at the project to be self-sustainable. So what we do is to invest. It will yield the profits. They will look at how to sustain the program. And so with the proper accounting systems, checks and balances in it, management skills, I think that program can sustain itself.
But I do agree with you. And now we've got a lot of comments on, of course, on the internet for people who are watching us, and some of them, of course, obviously, can see. Ezra Kisambanda says, good show. Grace Mofulu saying, yo, it's wonderful. We've got quite a number of them who are actually watching us going on. And it's quite interesting. Manangwa, somebody's talking about Manangwa should go off. And Madagwa should go off. They're it's quite, you know, it's quite interesting because Esther Munyika, Manangwa is worse off than Mugabe.
They'll say that. These are Zimbabweans, remember?
Kudasha Keith Kazigu, Mary, who is also saying, well done, Molampa. I think it's you. With your comments. Thank you, Brother Kunda. And, you know, there are quite so many of them. No one can insult the military, something about the military. Someone was talking about no one can invest in a military dictatorship country. That is Esther Munyika saying that. There are quite a number of them that are going on about what Munira, about that. Whenever I mention the funds, it always comes back to say, okay, because one of the things that I've learned over a period of time, an Israel friend of mine once told me, he said, look, the problem with you Africans, you've got the brains, you start something, but then you don't, the continuation of it is always something that you don't look out for. You don't look out the future. As we mentioned here, we look at the past, the present, and then we are looking at the future. So, that is why the leaders, when they leave office, they don't want to leave office because they don't leave. They've
taken governance as employment creation. Their way to work as far as they are concerned. Their work is not to support the community. Their work is to earn money. How you earn it, how you create it. You know, we've got a serious problem because these people, when they make an accounting, they are audited. They talk about the donation that come from not the domestic.
The one that they earning, the money that they earn.
Not collecting taxes and so on, because they are not into people. They are into making money.
The question is, how do we?
I was going to come on to that.
As leaders to that, something has to, a stop has to be put there. When someone is listening to us, we're talking about our problems, but we're not talking about the solutions. And I'm looking at this. I've always talked about problems and solutions at the same time.
I was going to come on to that.
So, think in terms of what kind of solutions should we have.
One of the biggest functions of leadership is to be able to develop leadership. If you are going to stay in leadership without grooming others, then the thing is, at the end of your time, that program is going to falter.
Exactly. This is what happens.
Die with it.
You go with.
So what is important is for us to realize the fact that we don't live forever. Mugabe is now dead.
He's gone.
He's gone. Even I heard my president Mnangagwa saying, even 2030 I will still be around. No, you may not be around. So start grooming
someone else there, yeah.
Young people to take over.
Yeah, yeah.
So that aspect, leadership has failed in terms of providing leadership. That's number one. Number two, corruption. Corruption kills.
Yeah, yeah.
Corruption is...
You drive okay, I will go and buy a license, pay some money to the licensed people. I now have a driver's license, so I get on the road. I drive.
Yeah.
But am I really
a good driver?
A good driver?
Yeah.
No, I am
You're not trained. You're not trained.
So the thing is, the next thing you're hearing is there's an accident.
Yeah, yeah.
It has killed 40 people.
Yeah.
Corruption does kill.
Of course.
So Africa needs strong institutions that prevent people from being corrupt, that holds those in power to account.
Yeah. But the question is, how do you create strong institutions? Because the strong institutions have to be created by people who are strong in order to make sure that if they are accountable, then they have to account for that. I mean, look at where we are here in the United Kingdom. Boris Johnson wanted to overrun Parliament. They even created a law preventing him.
The strong institution.
Because the institution is strong. It's saying, no, you are not taking us out of Europe without, because the institution has been created for the last 200 years, 300 years.
I mean, our problem...
How do we create that? That's the question.
Our problem in Africa is that all these parliaments you hear have got captains who come and say, do this. If they don't say anything, you do nothing. Because you're afraid to oppose them. I mean, what else can you do if the president didn't say this? The president didn't say that. They can't think for themselves. Somebody can come up with a suggestion or a policy that, no, what you are doing here is wrong. Let's do this. If you do that, you are outside the club. Theirs.
Yeah. What I was going to say, is, in addition to what my brother has just said, you mentioned something to say the institutions in this country, in the so-called developed countries, were developed over so many years.
Yeah, of course. It's not 500 years history.
Exactly. So it's not going to happen today.
No, it won't.
We are going to have all of a sudden an independent judiciary in Zimbabwe, and independent this and that and that. But what we have to be
Zimbabwe was lucky among African countries because it had these institutions. Ian Smith and his colleagues, the institutions were there. They were stronger.
Power.
So Zimbabwe destroyed the institution, and I'm worried South Africa is going the same way because these institutions were there.
It's what we call absolute power. Absolute power corrupts. Absolutely. So what we did was, after independence, when we came back home, we said, Mr. Mugabe, you are now in charge. Rule as you want. And we turned our backs on him. We left him with all the power to do whatever he wanted. It was only in the 90s that we realized, things are going wrong. What is going wrong? And that but it was already too late. Now, so what we need to do is a situation where, number one, those in leadership must not be allowed to overstay. That's the first step.
They always overturn the constitutions when it comes to that.
I know, of course, Museveni just did that.
I know.
So they must not be allowed to overstay. That is the most important thing. Number two, we are looking at accountability.
Of course.
And the manipulation of the constitution.
And then we look at corruption, because what is it? Why is it that they continue to want to cling on to power? It's because during their time, all these years, what they've been doing is corruption and killing people to maintain power as a way of defending themselves.
Of course. Somebody came up with an idea, a Nigerian, and he was saying that actually, if the West had a way, because he's been to the European Union and he's been to the UN, recently he was even giving a speech at the UN, a European Economic Forum, I think, or something. And he was giving a speech and he was saying, look, he wants the West and other developed countries that are dealing with Africa to insist on certain things happening, because this would uphold, because he's saying, if we are going to say that there are 2 terms in Zimbabwe, for example, or there are 2 terms in Uganda, and there are certain criteria that are followed by a president of this country, in order for you to deal with us, this is what you've got to do. The European Union has done that as a bloc. Now, the success of that could come with ECOWAS in West Africa, and the East African Economic Group, which is existing as well. So it becomes easier if a joint statement is issued within the
structure. I disagree with that.
You think it won't work?
I disagree with that.
Why?
You see, we are too much of being copycats. What have we come up ourselves with, which the Europeans have got to copy? What is it? Yet we have got a lot to rich nations, people who know exactly what we used to do to ourselves, but need to modernize it. Why can't we come up with that?
Yeah, we can. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
It's this idea of being told what to do is what Robert Mugabe was very much against.
I know. I was going to say something about that.
And I think I'm also against that.
Okay.
Because then you get controlled.
Of course.
And then, this corruption business that we talk about, who introduced corruption in Africa?
They did.
It was introduced by white people.
Of course.
And then when we got our independence, what did they do? They said, okay, let them have their political power, but we'll maintain the hold on their economies. Right?
Which is
so every time that we have to turn to them for instruction, for guidance, for this and that, it does not work.
Yeah, but look
the thing is, what does the Chinese do? If you look at the universities in this country, they are full of Chinese people. Of course.
Why
are they here?
Why are they here? They're getting knowledge.
They're getting the knowledge so that they take that knowledge
back home.
Back home. So they will do it themselves, not to be told by somebody that, look, you have to do this. We tried it in Zimbabwe in the 90s, ESAP. Economic Structural Adjustment Program. It caused mayhem in Zimbabwe. It doesn't work. So what we are saying is that we want African solutions, and African people must have that ability to come together as a people in the realization that none other than ourselves can sort these problems out. Africa is blessed in a massive way, in the sense that it has got all of us in the diaspora, isn't it?
Of course.
All of us, we are here right now.
I know.
Why can't we go and introduce stuff in Africa? What are we waiting for?
They won't allow us.
They won't allow us. Well, we have to come together.
Nobody is going to allow us. We've got to take it.
You don't have to be allowed. Who are they?
You're going to go and take it.
They're just like you.
Well, the thing is, it's easier said than done. That's where the biggest problem is.
Yes, but then the thing is, Joshua Nkomo, Robert Mugabe, they went to war. In the bush, they left the luxuries of their homes and even for fitting lives, wives, leaving them behind.
To go and fight.
You have to fight for things that you believe in.
Of course.
If you don't have any enemy, it means that you never represent nothing. You don't believe in anything.
I like the attitude. It's quite interesting because it's very encouraging, and I'm sure people out there who are interested in doing something in Africa and you want to do it. This is your guy. This is the Tatapa is your guy. Is your guy. Your guy to carry it out, because it gives people the momentum to do it.
Of course.
I'm looking at Zimbabwe now. Mugabe is gone. The other old structure, Morgan Tsvangirai and the others are on their way out, and I'm sure
Morgan Tsvangirai is gone.
Yeah, it's gone.
You have to practice that.
I have to practice calling that name. Yeah, he's on his way out. He's a president now, but he's on his way out as an elder. Now, when you look at Zimbabweans out there, I mean, in Uganda, we're probably looking at this young man, Bobby Wine, who is making all the noises and is moving up. Is there Bobby Wine in Zimbabwe who is coming up?
Maybe it's the Bobby Wine.
I think there is.
There is.
We might have not found them. Or found him. Or found the Bobby Wines to pick a Bobby Wine. But they are there. They still believe. The problem is that they still believe that the system doesn't allow them. Whereas I would say, stand up, get out, and get what you want to get. Because people will support you. And the other thing that is a snake is political education.
People
do not understand. Even when they go and vote, they don't know what they are voting for. You tell them about the rotten economic system in Zimbabwe. They don't even know what you're talking about.
It's all that they've seen over the years.
Exactly.
So you can't introduce something new.
They keep hoping that it will change. It will change. Like the statement now is that people are not patient. Once they become patient, the system will change in Zimbabwe. What we have brought, no, it's not. Because it's not on the right track.
I think that's a very valid point. The system that we have in Zimbabwe, the way of politics that we are having in Zimbabwe today, is one that kind of discourages talent. Those that are talented, they kind of stay a distance from politics, but not that they don't want to be involved, not that they have no capability, but I think what they need is a little bit more motivation to say, look here, guys, when the Mugabes were in their 40s, 30s, and a lot more, I mean, even younger, they decided to take matters into their own hands. So they decided, they were resolute. They went out there and stayed in the bush. What we need is, the problem is that even the opposition today is very compromised. They've got mansions, multiple mansions, they've got farms, they are also benefiting from the vast system of patronage that ZANU-PF has put in place. Therefore, to tell them to sacrifice, to leave all that behind,
it won't work.
It won't work. So what we are saying, and I think that was the gist of our discussion with Mr. Molife here, to say, look here, the diaspora is like the sober part of the Zimbabwean community right now. Those who are under captive, who are in Zimbabwe, they are captured by the way of things that ZANU-PF does things. They are even contented with the way things happen. They also conform. If ZANU-PF does this, they will just conform. We say Tamba Irikurira, play that. You know what I mean. So they adapt, they conform, so these are not the kind of people that would lead a revolution. No, they can't do that. We've got the diaspora, over 3 million people.
Can I say, now that you're mentioning diaspora, we're coming towards the end of the program. And something has struck in mind, and that is something to do. Julius Malema, who is South Africa, with the Green Party, I think, in South Africa, was actually commenting recently, and he was saying that all the groups that are in South Africa, which means of Nigerians, Ghanaians, Ugandans, Zimbabweans, have people in South Africa. If they form groups in South Africa to control, not to control, but to look after themselves, because the way people are being killed and so on, what's happened. But if you happen to to be in a major group,
yeah,
the chances are they're going to fear that group.
That is correct.
They're going to fear that group. And secondly, also revolutions that usually take place begin with the group, with the groupings. You know, and so you were saying, look, I'm looking at Zimbabwe now because I'm thinking Nigerians have already started forming a group already in South Africa, which is also helping with some of them returning home.
Yeah, if
now, because desperate situation required desperate measures. Can Zimbabwe start something similar here in the UK to help not just with the, you know, you already have a group yourself.
There is a demonstration outside South Africa tomorrow. From several nationalities in Africa. Outside the Zimbabwe, I mean outside the South African embassy tomorrow. I think we are beginning to network. Talking about South Africa, in South Africa, I've been invited because we also have a group there in South Africa, the Restoration of Human Rights. South Africa is registered and everything. So they've invited me to say, can you not come so you organize us in a way that brings people together. So I'm sure if there are any groups like the Nigerian group that you are talking about in South Africa, if you've got any contacts, please, I'll be very happy to get that. I'll be going to South Africa shortly. So what we are saying is that the African way of doing things is such that we are too divided. And this is a legacy of colonialism, because it was colonialism that divided people, that gave us the
colonialism is long gone.
We
should look at the present. We should look at the present now.
It left. That's why we are talking about the legacy. It left us in different compartments. And we identify. We choose to identify ourselves with those labels that were imposed upon us.
I believe in solutions. That's why I keep saying, how do we get out of that? You can, because we only have a few minutes left.
I'll just say, you see, in this xenophobia thing, the problem is that people are so dishonest about it. The so-called victims, they are so dishonest about it. Let's talk about the wrongs of xenophobia wherever it happens. If you remember 1983, what Nigeria did to Ghana and
they told them to leave. I remember that.
You go to Rwanda, the people died because of xenophobia. You go to Zimbabwe, what caused this so-called it was xenophobia. It's still there. Let's be honest. So we're going to demonstrate there in the South African embassy to do what? To challenge what? If we still cannot challenge the actual seed of it all.
I just have to say thank you very, very much for watching us today. And I do hope that we'll be together again next week for another edition of Africa Speaks, where I do hope that the issue of xenophobia will be tackled. Thank you very, very much. And I just want to thank you, boys, you guys, for coming to today's program. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for the invitation.